And welcome everybody to another on-court, off-court Game Changers. We are very excited today to have Ken DeHart, and he's going to have a lot of awesome things to be sharing in his long journey with tennis. And we're really excited to have, of course, Kalindi Dinoffer, our CMO, on-court, off-court. And yeah, this is going to be a good one. Obviously, I'm a little newer to the relationship, but it sounded like Ken, Kalindi, you guys have a long-standing relationship, I'm sure, with Joe as well. How long have you guys kind of known each other?
I've known Joe since the first idea of on-court, off-court began. He says, "Do you think we could do this? Do you think it might work?" And it was great because I kind of saw he put Kalindi in a lot of the advertisements and stuff like that, and in the magazine and in some video tennis tips. So it's been fun watching her grow up, and then finally take over and show her dad how to really run a company.
I don't know about that, but well, yeah, thanks, Billy, and thanks for being on, Ken. It's really exciting. I feel like I've known you like my whole life, like since I was when I was little to the conferences and help out and stuff, and it's super cool.
That's awesome. I know when I'm doing the marketing, I'll find some of the older videos that Joe makes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Kalindi. The old Kalindi video. She's getting closer to my son's age. And I'm like, this is, it's so funny. Awesome. Well, Ken, would you mind sharing a little bit just about your journey with tennis, just in general? Like, when did you even first start playing, and like, what were those early years like, and maybe even how that transition into coaching?
Well, I grew up in Indiana, so I was a basketball player and a baseball player. My dad had played AAA ball for the Reds. So I never thought I played tennis until I went to college. So one day I'm running cross country, and I run to Kmart and grab a racket and start playing with my roommate. And then I didn't know you had to be pretty good. We had a lady tennis coach, and I said, "Hey, can I play for the team?" And she said, "Well, get on to court 6. I'll send you some people down here with." So I showed up every day, and eventually I was in charge of keeping the courts clean, and then I became secretary for the PE department. But I got a chance to travel with the men's team and the girls' team, and got to practice every day. And my junior year, I won the conference doubles championship. My senior year, I was captain of the team, most valuable player.
Wow. That's some accelerated progress. I mean, 4 years.
I was surprised. To me, basketball was footwork like tennis. Mm-hmm. And baseball, there's 4 bases on the other side of the net. There's 4 squares.
Yep.
So I never really thought playing against Kalindi. I would just play, hit to third base, go hit to first base, now lob it to second base.
That's awesome.
So I thought about the 4 bases, and the footwork was pretty simple. It was like, don't let the ball get outside your foot, and do a lot of shuffling and keep the ball in front of you.
Nice.
Yeah, and you already had that hand-eye coordination of knowing how to I feel like that's such an important skill, is that how do you strike a ball with an object that you're holding.
That's right. And it was from there, I was lucky. I got my master's degree in education, and taught archery, bowling, and ping pong and tennis at Western Kentucky University. And I taught high school tennis for 3 years, and then I got a chance to become a full-time tennis pro, and took a big leap of faith from moving from Kentucky to Tennessee. My first job ever was director of tennis, and I had no idea what the heck I was doing. But I figured I could figure it out. So I was in Nashville, Tennessee at Sequoia Swim and Racket Club, and started going to all the different conferences and workshops and talking to people. And I've always loved learning, so it's been fun for me. And then when I left Nashville, I was at the largest club in Phoenix, or in Tennessee, Maryland Farms. And but I knew I wanted to improve my administrative skills. So I applied for a position that was open with the PTR, and I became the first full-time executive director for the PTR on Hilton Head, South Carolina, and did that for about 3 years and helped develop the coaching and testing and things like that. And I was in charge of about 7,000 pros around the world.
Wow.
But and then I really wanted to get back into tennis. That's what I really wanted to do. I enjoyed the on-court things as well. And got a job at Sea Pines with Stan Smith and Kirk Camperman for about a year. And then my family had moved. My mom and dad had moved to Arizona, so I applied for a job in Arizona. I applied at 23 different clubs except for one. The only one I didn't apply for, that's the job I got. It was a 31-court facility called Western Reserve Club, and it was the largest club in the Southwest, and I became the executive director there for 10 years. And then, so I've been around for a while. Everybody says, "You travel a lot." I said, "No, I just been in tennis a long time."
So it So it sounds like you've done a lot. Obviously, you've got like kind of personal coaching. You've overseen coaches. You've ran organizations, administration. I mean, that's a really awesome experience. I don't feel like a lot of people have kind of that full range of experience, through the kind of all the different aspects of tennis. What are like, with that experience, well, I guess, what do you like to do the most out of those? And then did being in the other kind of realms help you become a better coach and a better administrator and a better, how did that all work together?
A lot of it did, yes. In my master's degree, I learned a lot about coaching and teaching, learning how to ask. Don't be telling people things to do. Ask them what they heard. Here's what I said. What did you hear? So during lessons, we always stop out every 10 or 15 minutes and say, okay, what's your takeaway? What's the one thing you'd like? And it's called tossing the salad. So when you teach, you layer things on top of each other. But when you ask people like that, again, somebody will bring something up from the bottom and they'll toss the salad so it's all fresh.
There you go.
And I enjoy writing. I've written a lot. I write for most of the different magazines. But my wife is an actress, and I tease her because I get more video time than she does. But I enjoy doing all the video tennis tips and stuff like that. And I enjoy trying to answer all the questions when people respond on Facebook. So it's a personal touch. Get ready to say that, hey, I got your comment. Thank you very much, like that. But I really enjoyed mentoring other coaches and helping them to come along. And getting a chance to travel around the country. I've spoken at the Australian Open 4 times and Wimbledon a couple of times and US Open about a couple hundred times. But I enjoyed traveling and getting a chance to go. And what's really been special for me is my son's been with me. He attended his first tennis pro conference when he was 6 months old.
That's
and
cool.
he was my on-court presenter at the Australian Open when he was 10. And he's on court with Italy with me and England and Switzerland. And so he's been a player and a coach. And he's graduated from Chapman University in LA and working for me here full-time now at Alpine Hills. But the greatest event was he got invited by the WTA to travel to China to become a hitter for the players.
Whoa.
So he spent the last 2 weeks, all expenses paid, in China on center court hitting with top players in the world.
That's amazing.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How cool.
Yeah. But it's been fun. I think the relationship's what I really enjoy the most. And learning more. I continue to learn all the time, which is what makes it fun for me. I typically work about 12 hours a day, and then I string rackets every night when I get home. So I usually I go to bed around midnight, and then up about 5:30 or 6. And everybody said, "How do you do that?" So, well, you get in shape to do whatever it is you do.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's pretty normal. And yeah, I'm sure you guys have incredible work schedules too, because I know successful people are like that. They work a lot.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, you're kind of always learning kind of new things. I'd love to hear, what are you kind of working on right now? What are some things that you're working through and thinking and, even now?
Well, the biggest thing I've learned a lot, I learned it from a friend of mine named Lenny Sloss. We invented the Billie Jean King eye coach in his basement, along with Dr. Ahn. And then later on became endorsed by Billie Jean. But sports is really a matter to, in any ball sports, there's only 3 skills. You catch it, that's a volley. You toss it, that's a ground stroke. And you throw it, that's a serve. That's only 3 moves there are. And it works really good until you put a stupid stick in your hand. And when you put that stupid stick in your hand, you can't think of anything. So the real challenge really has been, I'm working with some pro athletes in football and golf and baseball about how to use your eyes. So learning, your eye tells your hand what to do and it tells your feet what to do. The moment your eye moves, your racket will decelerate and your feet will stop. So I've demonstrated how well, if I keep my eyes still, I can toss the ball up and serve it into the court on the edge of the racket on purpose 5 times in a row. But so it's just really how you learn to use your eyes, and helping players who think the sport's extremely tough learn that it's not that tough. Everybody's got different strokes, but it's how you manage your eyes. And when you manage your eyes, it really means your mind's quiet. So when I have a thought, my eye tries to follow the thought, whatever it happens to be. And so I've been able to help people make the game a little bit simpler for themselves by understanding how to move and how to use your eyes to know when to move and when to swing and how to move for the shot like that. Yeah. So I'm pretty much an eye coach. In fact, somebody asked me one day, what do you do for a living? I said, actually, I'm an artist. I paint pictures of people's heads. And that's how I view what I do. I'm an artist. I find the word pictures that make sense to you, so that we can communicate.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love how you describe that. That's really cool.
Yeah,
I
And
bet I can tell why you and Joe get along well. You know,
yeah.
I,
Yeah, Joe's very creative and very imaginative, and always he was a leader. He was ahead of the game with what he thought and what he did and how he taught it, and how he started on court, off court too. He was definitely a leader in that.
well, and I've heard you allude to a few of the things, you know, obviously with Joe, he's all about the kinesthetic aesthetic aspect, right? Talk less, get in rhythm, all those kind of things. And it sounds like you have a similar, you know, kind of viewpoint with that. Like, how do you, you know, kind of, what's your philosophy around kind of the auditory, visual, kinesthetic kind of, you know, learning styles, and how do you put that in your coaching?
Well, the first thing we typically do is I'll come out and say, close your eyes and show me your forehand. And then I can see what they see now. Then I feed the ball and see what's different. So now I know what to fix. So I never just tell people, I'm going to work on your forehand. Let's fix this. I need to see what they see. So when they close their eyes, they show me the picture of what they see in their mind.
Mm.
And then from there, then I can toss a ball to them and see what they do. And then you challenge them. I've also discovered, you know, there's millions of tennis corrective technique things, and Kalindi knows all about all those with her dad. But I find out that if I make a mistake, if I close my eyes and swing, the brain has a default. It defaults to the picture inside my head. It's like my phone. If it goes down, has a default, and my computer has a default. Well, we're blessed with a default too. So if your default with your eyes closed is pretty good, when you close your eyes, the next ball, I promise you will make the shot, because your brain and your muscles have reset to the default, the picture in your head. And so it took me a while to kind of figure all this stuff out. But if I don't get paid by the word when I teach, I get paid by the images that you see and that you can do. So, like, again, I'm an artist. I need to paint a picture in your head, and the more colorful it is, the better. So we teach with word pictures, word stories, kinesthetic things, and people ask, if I ask something, they'll say, "Yeah, I see that." Well, they're visual learners. So I really can't feel that, you know. They're kinesthetic learner, and most of us are not auditory learners as well. But if you're going to do auditory, it better be with word pictures, so they can picture what you're saying.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So,
you know, you mentioned the eye trainer, right? So obviously that's a product that On Court Off Court carries, and it's great product, great reviews, great selling product. And so, have you made any other products as well, or helped design other products?
The magic window. Okay. The magic window is a 6-foot tall PVC target that we actually had a company produce for us. We actually sold it at the Atlanta Buying Show many, many years ago. And then everybody would look at it. It's 1.5 PVC, and it makes a window. And you color code it. The top part is yellow, the black part is black, because you want to have a golden view of where to hit the ball.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I started about 1985 with it, I believe. And it's just PVC, but at the time we had a guy that made thin wall PVC, so it was really light, and a small carrying case so you could take it to the park or take it home. But I've never taught a lesson intentionally that didn't involve the magic window. I can use it to show you where people would be standing. You can surf under the magic window, through the magic window, over the magic window. You can have competitions like, let's see how many shots it takes you to make 5 balls through the magic window. Your percentage was 50%. Let's see if we can improve those percentages. But the magic window is that. And then I've written a book with Dennis Vandermeer, the International Book of Drills, which was really popular. And it was the first one that used diagrams in the books to show how to do it, with a reference point in the front about how to find different things. And then I got a phone call one day. He said, "We see your stuff on Facebook and stuff like that. Would you be interested in writing a book?" I said, "Sure." And it's on the mental side of the game. It's called Mastering Your Tennis Game. And it's 50 tips for strategy and tactics. And it's pretty good. We did the book in about 2 months.
Wow.
Because the material was pretty much there. Then they just helped me edit it to put it in. But it's been a fun one. They just paid me a flat fee up front, and I get to buy the books at half price to sell whenever I travel and speak, stuff like that. But what really good is I don't understand how people can teach how you can teach tennis without targets, because
Yeah.
every sport is target based. So
Yeah.
on-court, off-court's always provided me with cones and dots and donuts and eye coaches and things like that, because sports is based on targets, whether it's basketball, baseball, ping pong, pool, foosball. So the more targets you have, the more live you make the game.
Mm.
And the more you get feedback, like go cross court. Where? You want to go in the green, the black, the blue, where? Go to that back square. Okay, that's square 2. The first square is service box is square 1. Square 2 is behind the box, service box. Square 3 is behind the ad court, service box, and square 4. So, like I said, that was baseball to me. I had 4 bases to hit for.
Yep.
And so, and then on court, off court's always had numbered cones. So you just put the numbers out there. When someone comes out to play, I say, okay, hit the ball to square 2. Now I go to square 3. Now I go to square 1. Well, to go to square 1, they have to change the spin and the style of their hit to hit a short ball.
Mm.
And then I can find out. And then typically we'll get them to learn that you need to know what you're going to hit it before the ball bounces. After the ball bounces on your side, the ball will tell you where you have to hit it.
Mm.
So in the beginning stages, I would tell Kalindi, go to square 1. But I would tell her early enough so she had time. And I said, now, Kalindi, I think you're pretty smart. You get to call out your shot. The only rule is you have to call it before the ball touches your court. And then, because she needs time to set up and hit. So what happens pretty much, though, everybody starts going, they'll make the shot, hit it, and then call out the number, which means they didn't really have a plan at all. They were just
Right.
responding. But I think
ready, fire, aim, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And then every sport, if you're shooting a rifle or a bow and arrow, you have a target. And Joe's always been a foresight about how to make sure they had targets for coaches to use. The challenge sometimes we getting the coaches to use it, but that's a different story. But the magic window is my favorite invention of all time.
I'm sorry, what was it?
The magic window.
Yeah.
It's just a PVC window.
Yep.
What's
That's awesome.
The magic window, or we have different names for it, but the magic window is a fuss because it makes magic happen.
Yeah. That's awesome. And you mentioned the targets with on-court, off-court. Are there any other training aids that you tend to use fairly regularly that are produced by on-court, off-court?
The rope zone, the air zone, actually, it's 2 posts that attach by the net post. It goes up, and a string that goes across. It's easy to see direction when you play tennis. There's lines and marks on the court. There's no marker for height. So the air zone has been one of my favorites because you just put it up there, and all of a sudden, they hit topspin and I don't have to say anything, because it has to go over the air zone like that again. So that's one of my other favorite uses is on the court. And once that people see it, they immediately hit over the ball. They think tennis is a forward game. It's an up game. In fact, Rick Braden said, tennis is an up game. You volley up a little bit. You hit up on a ground stroke. Ball's coming down the serve. You hit it back up. It's not a forward motion. It's an upward motion.
Yeah.
And the air zone really helps a lot with the idea of I need to hit up to go with the net.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great, it's really like, I mean, definitely all the visual and kinesthetic learning really helps. Like, I'm definitely not like a natural athlete. So like all of those tools help, that it's like, it's hard sometimes to get things if it's just explained in words. And yeah, like what you were talking about, a few minutes ago, Ken, about like, if you're going to do it in words, at least create like a visual story, because we're hardwired to learn and remember things via stories. And then if you have an additional aid on top of that can just help kind of cement it and give that extra little boost, that's where the learning can definitely accelerate, and helps the coaches too, to be more effective.
Sure. Some of my favorite little tips are like in San Jose, we invented the Palm Pilot. It's now a cell phone, but it's a Palm Pilot back then. So I said, the palm is your pilot. Wherever you point the palm of your hand, that's where the ball's going to go. Now, your racket's pretty stupid. It doesn't know anything. The palm tells the racket what to do, but your eye tells your palm what to do. So if you make a mistake, I say, with the palm of your hand face. Well, it went exactly where your eye went because you looked up. The other one's like, little stories like, how would you like to have a Scandinavian forehand? Okay, here's the Scandinavian forehand. If you want a real Swedish forehand, you have to finish your shot, or else there's no way it's going to work. So you got Sweden and Finland and Norway right there. So that's the Scandinavian forehand. But you've done stuff that people remember, and that's how they relate to things. You tell funny stories and weird things that make sense.
That's awesome. So, Ken, I'd love to hear, I'm sure you got a million stories and just some of your favorites. So like, when you're hanging out and, with some old tennis buddies or you're reminiscing, what would be some of give me a great story, just something that you find, just really interesting over your time.
Excuse me. I must be a cowboy. I got a little horse on that one. I guess stories about how we learned to play. I grew up in Indiana. Nobody in my family had been to college before. And all of a sudden I'm at a small college and this lady tells me I can play tennis. So it's really funny to listen to their stories. How did you get into your business? It didn't just show up one day. There was a pathway.
Yep.
So really it's just asking everybody about their pathways. How did you get to be where you are? And then pretty much who are the influential people that convinced you that you could take the risk to do this, to start your own company, to start broadcasting information and working for on-court, off-court to help them promote tennis around the world. So I think it's really just stories. And if they have a few beers, they'll tell you some pretty good stories too. And most of it they make up, but it's okay. And there's always one weird person at the club, that everybody wants to talk about. Like this one lady, she had the first time she just joined the club, and this guy gave her she didn't like what the guy did, the new pro. So 5 years later, she's now on the chairman of the board, and her first job was to fire the pro that interrupted her 5 years ago. And she told him this was 5 years ago. So there's all kind of stories that you run into that just like, oh my gosh, how'd that ever happen? And the people that we've met, my son's in China and he's talking to Pam Shriver and sitting in the box with her watching the player. And she says, oh yeah, I know your dad. How do you know my dad? And just different things like that. And then I bet I could go out there and ask anybody and said, do you guys ever do on-court, off-court? Oh yeah, we do all the time. I said, do you know Joe? Oh yeah, Joe. Yeah. When Joe first started this business, and they'll start off on a tangent about their experience with Joe. And then it was really a smart move making Kalindi the person in charge of the company, because she's prettier than Joe is. And so you just have funny stories like that. It's just really cool.
I think I'm just the mascot, but works. So.
You're the looks. You're the face of the company.
I think that's always been my official, whatever other job titles or whatever, that's kind of what I was as a child. And, I feel like that's still my primary, one of my primary roles is to be the on-court, off-court mascot.
What do you see as the future of on-court, off-court?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. I mean, I feel like we're currently in this figuring out process, and we in the last couple months, Billy and I and a couple of my key colleagues, Heather, she's our COO and future CEO person, and our general manager, or now she just got a title change, so she's now our VP operations. And, we were just kind of doing a lot of brainstorming, going back to the foundation. And, as my dad he just turned 71 last week, and, he's starting to look towards shifting towards semi-retirement, possibly retirement, more advisory status. And that's sort of been an in-progress thing over the past few years. So I think we're just, we're looking at what does all of that look like? We have a really amazing team of about 10 ladies in our office I talk
to Wanda pretty often.
Oh, nice. Yeah. She's been, speaking of people that have been a part of it from the beginning, she's been around for a while. And yeah, same with Heather. I think she's been a part of the company for the past almost 20 years, 17 years. So it's, you really have that longevity. And I feel like, I don't know, I've always just felt like we put the family in the family.
Yeah.
And like, even it, other people maybe would be like, oh, they're marketing consultants, like all very professional. And of course, Billy and I are professional, but like we've also developed a close friendship. And, anyone that I talk to, like you, or we do these webinars, it's like there's those warm feelings. So yeah, I mean, I think as we continue, there's so much changing. Like obviously when On Court Off Court started, we were 100% tennis, and pretty much only training aids. And I still feel like that's our, like, that's like our core value, is that learning and education and accelerated learning. But, of course, we've evolved over the years, and we have the carts and the other items to supplement for players and coaches. And, I've gotten into pickleball, and, I'm a yoga instructor as well. So my passion for wellness, we have the small yoga line that we're trying to get off the ground. So yeah, I would see, I feel like it's like as we're stepping into this new generation, I mean, definitely a lot of girl power with a team full of, 10 ladies, and my colleague Heather as like the one, like she's like really the one, running the show from, behind the scenes, running the company, and does amazing. That's where, we work really well together, because she doesn't like doing this kind of thing where you're in front of the camera and talking to people. So it's like, and I enjoy doing this. So I feel like for me being able to focus on that aspect of the marketing and the growth, which to me is basically just having conversations with people and, being authentic. And if that results in people getting inspired and wanting to get a training aid, or we can help them in any way with their games on or off the court, that's awesome. So yeah, I think it's always good to have your goals, your intentions, your dreams, and then you get flexible with where it goes. From a personal goal for me, it would be, I would love to see if the off court, wellness side of things could take off. Just because that's a passion of mine, and after playing tennis, I was on court so much as a teenager and really beat up my body, and got a lot of injuries, and I'm still like healing from that. So that's just something that's become a personal thing that I feel strongly about, of wanting to share that with, with coaches and players, so that, they can be their best selves on court. And, the great thing about tennis is it's a sport of a lifetime. So actually it can be that sport of a lifetime, and that people aren't sidelined.
What's your favorite new product?
Ooh, well, I mean, after that whole spiel about the yoga line, it's definitely, I guess, newer product, within the last few years, is the foldable yoga mat.
Yes, I have one of those. Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, that's like, as far as, I feel like I super relate. My dad has had, like, he's invented like hundreds of products, some of which have taken off and some haven't. And anytime I feel like there's one that, if it hasn't done as well, and or if it's had to be discontinued, it's like, oh, that's one of my children there. And, and then I'm more attached too, because I've used it. And then, that's why we have, some of my colleagues, it's like, okay, it's just a product and the sales are low, but, if you've developed it, it's like, you're very attached. So that's kind of how I feel about the foldable yoga mat. But also on, as a non-wellness product, one of my favorite new products is the Infinity Play System. Yeah, definitely, really, that one, my dad was working on for a few years, the development of that. I'm not sure if you've seen that one on our website. Yeah, we can definitely, I don't know, Billy, are we able to, should we share a screen maybe or something?
Yeah, I can pull it up.
So that our audience know what we're talking about. And yeah, kind of, if you are interested in, I'm always happy to send you anything. But basically, it allows for infinite play. So it's a little mini ball machine, and it has a netting, and you can be practicing, in the backyard, in a driveway, on the side of a court, and you hit the ball into the netting, and then it'll feed it back out. So you don't have.
I have seen that.
Okay, yeah. So that's it basically. So yeah, it feeds it out, and it can also be used separate. So the little multi-twist mini machine, that can be used just by itself. And and also I've had some people tell me, like, they've used just the netting by itself and put a a box under it, like for practicing their serve. So I haven't personally tried that yet, but I thought that was kind of fun, a unique idea. So yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite ones, as well as the rebounder deluxe, which is just a really nice rebounder net on wheels that you can adjust the angle to be able to hit different shots, and even two people can hit at once on it. So,
Billy, you've done several interviews now. What's your favorite story that you can tell us?
Oh man,
you can repeat, but what's your favorite story? You just had a real flashback. So my favorite story is,
gosh, my favorite story. Well, I always liked Joe's origin stories. And so, kind of going on to this whole thing, the first, 5 or 6 of these that we did were with Joe, and he would bring the training aid, and then I'd be like, okay, well, how did you come up with that? Right. And usually it had to do with Kalindi, to do something, and, using a sock, but then like, hey, we could take the sock and we could do this. And then all of a sudden it came into this product. And so I always really liked those origin stories of how that came up, because that's the beauty of what I believe on court, off court did, right? It's like Joe was a tennis coach. He saw it. He knew there was something wrong. The verbal commands aren't working. So I tie a thing to this and go like this. And now all of a sudden the arm's in the right slot and, the shot works. And so I just loved all of those kind of origin stories, because they're very practical. It's not like some company just trying to make a gizmo to sell a product. It was very tangible, very, practical, exact, this is how it got created. And, then you got the person who created it, and then the other person who was the guinea pig for the product on the call. And I just always really enjoyed those.
Yeah.
Most of the products like that are, they're labeled. They're Kalindi approved and tested.
Yep.
That's pretty much no, and I feel like that's, and it always struck me, like, my dad's always told the story how when he first started on court, off court, like a lot of people told him he was crazy. There's no way, you want to start a company of training aids. Like, have you met the tennis industry? Like, no one's gonna buy that kind of stuff. And obviously we've expanded to have a whole range of things, but I just feel like it's like you said, Billy, it's never been like, oh, let's make this because it will sell well. I mean, sometimes, this has probably bitten us in the butt more times than not, but it's been like, oh my gosh, like, hey, this product would be this would be really helpful and would really help change people's games. So we're gonna make this. And then, sometimes it, you had that resistance of not getting tried out. And maybe it was a little, I feel like some of the products and ideas that my dad had were a little bit like ahead of the times. Like, even Ken, do you remember Tennis America that he did?
Yeah, I think he was so creative with all the stuff. And it's like the magazine the Inquirer. Inquiring minds want to know, what's Joe working on now?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like that, like, it was like all these cassettes and he'd mail it out and he spent all this, and it was kind of like, well, if you've been doing that now, those would just be called podcasts and webinars.
Yeah. Joe invented podcasting.
He did, yes.
And just kind of, it's just, it's like, it's interesting to trace the evolution and history of things through time, especially when you add in changes in technology of, like, when I remember when On Court, Off Court started, for the first a lot of years, like, there wasn't, there wasn't a website, there wasn't internet, and that was very rudimentary, and it's just interesting to see the.
So what I need to do, I guess, I need to go, because I like doing little video tennis tips, little short things like that, is to go through your product line and say, okay, here's a product from On Court, Off Court. Here's some uses for it. Here's how I use it. Just as a reminder, because they see the catalog, they don't always understand how to use something or how it could be used. And you got to find dumb ways to use it so that people laugh at it. So there's George Foreman was named, he named all his kids George. He had 5 kids. They were named George, and Georgette. So whenever we play, we use the Little Mother tennis ball machine, which I've never used a big ball machine my whole life. I use Little Mother and 5 cones, and they're called George. Okay. So you hit on the little dot machine. Excuse me. Hit on the little dot machine, and then you have to circle one of the cones. And then you come back and hit it again, but you can't use the same cone till you've touched all 5 Georges. Now, I can't explain to someone how to move their feet, but when they have to hit and run and circle George, they run forward, they shuffle around George, and they shuffle back. I can't even explain that, but George can do it. So I just I feed balls, and George shows how to volley. So I put one George at the due service court. I start you behind George, and I feed the ball, and you have to hit circle George. So you don't stop when you hit. You don't back up when you hit. You circle George. Now, if you step on George, he becomes your stepbrother. So be careful. You don't want George to be your stepbrother. But just
awesome.
How to use simple things that, because I love using teaching aids like that. And I should probably do something, just pick out some things and say, look, here's a little item that you probably haven't thought about from on court, off court. I'm going to show you, introduce you to George, who's my friend, and he will show you how to move. Now, in senior citizen, we use George to show you where to move because you have no idea where to move. So it's like on the highway, they put the cones out.
Yeah.
For senior citizens. We do senior citizens on the court too, so you know where to move.
That's fantastic.
Well, I love that. And yeah, absolutely. Just let me know what products and I'll send them your way. And yeah, I've heard you share about the George story before, and it's like it just doesn't get old. Like it's just so awesome. And I'm super like I love personifying inanimate objects. So it's like that's like my thing and my sense of humor.
Me too.
So I love the idea of having a bunch of on-court products that have names. This is no longer the Flex Trainer. This is Freddy.
There you go.
Exactly. So
that's
we'll
awesome.
Some new names for things. And now, after a while, though, you don't have to use George. If you all you have to do is say, "Don't make me get George out," and they'll correct because they remember kinesthetically what it felt like to use George. So George can go into retirement occasionally because I just use the thread of George and it works.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Ken, I'd like to, as you're mentioning these videos, I want to just share a couple of things here. So you've got a couple places that people can come and see more of your content. We got facebook.com/Ken DeHart Tennis. And then also Instagram.com/DeHart903. And it looks like you post on here pretty regularly.
Yes, I do.
Awesome.
And sometimes I have about 2,000 rackets in my collection and about 1,800 books. A lot of times I'll post pictures from the books or from there, and particularly the rackets, say, who used this racket? And that's probably one of my most responded to posts. I used that racket when I was a kid. My mom used that racket. So just posting some of the things like that. And there's a picture of the magic window.
Yep, there it is.
Oh,
that's awesome. What a great tool. That's fantastic. Well, Ken, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I'm sure we could even do this again. We could talk for hours. And yeah, so I just encourage everybody, make sure you get on Facebook, Instagram, go follow Ken, get to hear more of his stuff. You'll get to see some videos coming out with him using some on-court, off-court tennis training aids. And yeah, we just really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for taking this. And like I said, hopefully we'll get a chance to do it again soon.
Please let me know. I love doing it. I love talking to you guys. Billy's a pleasure to meet you.
It was a pleasure to meet you, Ken. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, Ken. This has been so fun. And thanks, Billy, as always. And this is like this is one of my favorite, probably this is, I think, my favorite thing about my job. So I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah. And we just thank you. Thanks everybody for watching, and keep an eye out. We're doing a bunch more content, so you'll start seeing some fresh new stuff posting. So thank you everybody for watching another on-court, off-court Game Changers. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.
Awesome.